girl of my dreams?
It's time to wake up, dude.
I had a dream about that girl again.
Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our channel, Paws On Animation, and our Paws on Netflix segment.
Today we're covering the new anime, Scott Pilgrim Takes Off.
This anime is an alternate retelling, you hear us guys?
Yes.
Alternate retelling of both the movie and graphic novel, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. And as before, Scott is trying to win over the girl of or from his dream,
Whichever.
Ramona Flowers, by defeating her 7 evil exes.
Right.
However, these take a turn, or things take a turn, I should say, when this time Scott loses the first battle.
It was like,
We couldn't believe it.
And before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, click notification buttons, and future podcasts and Ramona Pause videos.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us for this because we got a lot of things to say.
Yes.
So first, we just want to let you know that this is based on the graphic novels written and drawn by O'Malley. Brian Lee O'Malley. Sorry, I had to think of his name. Brian Lee O'Malley. So he returned.
Yes.
And then the original concept came from Edgar Wright,
Yes.
who has done many things that we know, including Shaun of the Dead.
Yes. So it's that feel to it. And with the Hot Fuzz, right?
Yes. Hot Fuzz.
And those types of movies.
Yes.
Yeah. So we knew about this anime coming since the beginning of the year. When they gave a teaser saying it was just all text saying it was going to be a Scott Pilgrim anime with the entire original cast from the live action movie coming to reprise their roles in animated form. And it was coming out in November. So for a lot of people that love the movie, it got all of us hyped to see what they would do in animated form. And the movie was made 13 years ago in 2010. But it has actually a cult following. While it didn't do too well at theaters, like it made money, but it didn't go to the extent of people expecting. It got a big cult following afterwards for a lot of people that just absolutely love the film.
Like me.
Yes, and me.
So this is categorized as comedy, action, adventure, and fantasy.
Yes.
And so quickly returning Michael Cera,
Right.
yes, Mary
Yes.
Smith Winstead, Satya Bhattacharya, Anna Kendrick, Chris Evans,
Yep.
and Jason Schwartzman.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's some others that also have come in.
They're new additions, yeah.
Right, including Mae Whitman,
Yeah.
Brandon Roof,
Mm-hmm.
and Simon Pegg and Nick Frost.
Oh, well, there
and
you go.
Studio Security, whom we did see.
Yes, so there you go. They get the little cameos in the show.
And actually, this was critically acclaimed. It got a lot of great reviews.
Yeah, definitely. It was so weird why it didn't make all that much money at the box office.
No, I mean the actual Netflix reboot.
Oh, okay. I was thinking the movie. Okay. So, yes, this was definitely hyped up, especially when it got closer to the premiere date. And we didn't get to see it when it was first out because of access issues. But we heard people talking about it. So, of course, we heard some people say they loved it. It was great. They were happy to hear everyone was back. And then we heard some people, of course, there's always a positive and negative side to every show. Some people didn't like it or hated it. And we didn't really care what people said. We wanted to see it for ourselves to make our own judgment because we loved the movie. And we watched the first episode.
And before we get to what we think of it, like everyone else, we're going to tell you the things that actually work and we thought were good.
Right.
Before we bash it.
Right.
So, the first thing is the animation.
Yes. Really colorful and bright. They made it look like the graphic novel style and they slightly updated it so it looks more, more modern. And everyone's got a cutesy style. I think that's hilarious. It's all the crap that goes on in this show, in this book, And they have the nerve to make him look cute. They make Scott Pilgrim cute looking.
Yes.
And it was like, why?
Second thing is the return of the original voice actors. They couldn't have done anything better.
Yes.
We wish
Everyone.
so many of these reboots would do the same thing.
Yes.
Instead of casting all new people and having to get people who they think should be younger.
And capture the essence.
And
Yeah.
this is so ironic and fun here that you know these people are how many years older now? Decades
13,
older?
13 years older.
Yes,
at
okay,
least.
13 years older. And they're still voicing the character, including the one who was 17 in the movie and is 17 in here, but is now 30.
Yes.
The third thing is that Edgar Wright is the executive producer.
Yes, so the creators actually are involved in here and not creative consultant like Disney gives where you really don't do anything, you just have your name there. It actually were involved in the making of the anime. So we know that at least the Arthur looked over it before it was released.
Right.
And had input on what to alter for this version.
Fourth thing is 8 episodes. That's a good amount.
Yeah.
Not 6, not 5, but 8.
Yeah.
Not
too,
10.
Yeah.
But 8 is a good amount.
Not too many and not too little. So it's just right.
And Michael Cera, you can tell his voice has changed. At
Yeah, it's
times.
a little deeper, yeah.
Yeah, and at times you can hear he sounds like Scott Pilgrim, but he still has that wry humor and delivery
Sounding
that still
awkward.
works. Yes.
It's sounding awkward all the time.
And the next thing is that Ramona continues to color her hair.
Yeah,
different
every
colors
day.
in here every single day.
Yeah, and I kept that in. Yeah,
And she should be bald.
Right, but it doesn't happen. And another would be the music actually is really catchy. They
Yes.
made a theme song for the show, and the music that's played from different bands or singers in the show actually are really good, really catchy. It still feels like Scott Pilgrim music, and they didn't throw in rapping and stuff from modern day because they had it still take place in the same time period as the original movie.
Yes. And finally, there's actually a Japanese dub.
Yes, and they credit both English and Japanese in the
Yes.
end credits. You don't have to go all the way to the Netflix section to see the voices for either side.
Absolutely. And those are the things we thought worked fantastically. We're really happy about. Even before we began to watch the show. And after we watched it, those things made us happy. Now, there are some things that don't make us happy.
Yes.
And one is after watching the first episode, we really knew what the title meant.
Yes, Scott Pilgrim takes off because he took off. He's gone. After the first battle, he actually loses. And the coins are there, and it's like, oh, he's dead. And I don't think anyone really expected that. I mean, okay,
No.
at least they were honest in saying it's a retelling. Okay, so we know ahead of time. But you didn't mention anything about him being taken out in the first episode. And from that point on, the entire
First episode.
yeah, the entire first episode felt like the movie. They didn't do beat for beat, but they had shout-outs to it, followed the same beats, and then
Except the funeral scene
yeah,
with the coins in
and
the
then
casket.
in the next episode, it followed all the way to that point.
Yes, and up until the point where he's taken out, we were enjoying it. It was like,
Yeah.
okay, this is good. Yes,
Yeah.
we can tell it's different.
Yeah,
That's okay.
it had
different.
it had a more quiet tone to it. Yeah.
Right, and then his best friend, he's got his thing going on.
Yeah.
Where he's trying to get happy, and he isn't too upset about
Yeah.
not too long.
Yeah, I was like, some friend.
So that's the first episode. So we get to the second episode, and
It's
we're
all
totally, completely disappointed in every facet of this episode.
and it was all about the evil exes, the League of Evil
Oh, wait,
Exes.
before we get to that, it was funny when they had Brie Larson show up as some singer who
Yes.
supposedly dated,
Scott Pilgrim.
Yes.
Yeah. And it was like
and
she
it became all
dated.
about her.
Yeah. And it was like she dated him. Is that right?
And then everyone's listening to her, and she's so cool. And
Right.
then everyone runs away and leaves the funeral except
For-
Ramona.
And it's like you forgot about him. This poor
So I
guy.
wanted to mention that. So we get to number 2, and as you said, it's all about the exes.
For some reason, yeah. And the entire episode is that they said the funeral scene, and then the exes, and the first one wants to battle the seventh one for control of the league. And like, is this the Legion of Doom now? And the whole episode is them fighting, and I expected more out of the fight because the animation was really, really good. It felt like they held back on really going all out with their battle. Because by the end, Patel wins and takes over. So I guess he's somebody's favorite because he kind of ends up winning all the battles in this version. And number 7 loses literally everything and is just broke. So it had nothing to do with Scott or Ramona, and it was just like, okay then. And then it gets to the third one, right?
Back to the second one first. We're not sure why they chose to have this be the second episode. And then there was something that was really weird. You get to the third episode, and the title of the third episode should have been the title of the second episode should have been the title of the third episode.
Yeah.
Because we get to that one, and we're going to stop at episode 3. It was a great episode.
Yeah.
And the second episode was called A League of Their Own. The third
Right.
episode is entirely girls and women and females.
Yeah.
And we're like, why didn't they name the third episode League of Their Own? That would have been clever.
Yeah, because the third one was called Ramona Rinse a Video. Why don't you just call League of Their Own? Because, I mean, I get the reference because of the League of Exes, but yeah, it would have made way more sense for it to be the all-girls episode.
Yes. And you would have been a shout out to the movie, and it would have been really, really clever.
Yeah.
And this episode was the second best one after the first one.
Yeah.
So we go from the first one, which was great, until he gets taken out. And then the second one we skip over, and we get to the third one, and it's really interesting, really fun.
Yeah,
and there's
actually.
one character who just really made us laugh hysterically.
Right. And she works at a coffee shop. You know it's Starbucks, but they don't say it. And she kind of reminds me of Maki from JJK, where she has this sarcastic attitude, and she curses out customers that annoy her, but they censor all the swearing. And it's a stop bleeping swearing at the customers, bleep you! My cappuccino is I asked for a cold cappuccino, iced cappuccino. Mine's hot. Use it to just get some flippin' ice, you dummy!
But the whole thing was what we were expecting for episode 2.
Yeah.
The same type of feel and energy was just totally missing in 2.
Yeah.
But they picked it up in 3, and we didn't expect it to be good after seeing episode 2.
Yeah, and how 1 ended.
Right.
And the big thing about this is that it's a lot more quiet and more subtle. We weren't expecting this to be taken more seriously. The movie, it had its tones where it would calm down, talk a little bit before it gets to the next battle. But it was really just crazy. It was funny. It was stupid fun. It was just crazy fun, and it was just craziness almost every minute of the movie, and it was going past reality. Here, they sort of grounded it a bit the first episode, and when they have their day, you know, but in the movie, she insults him like no tomorrow, and says things that he doesn't quit, like anime.
Right.
But in here, she actually does like him firsthand, and she doesn't insult him every 10 seconds, and it actually ends up, she actually is way nicer to him in here. So that was a big change.
And I think part of that might have been because they knew they were going to dub it for the Japanese audience.
Right.
And they probably wanted to give it more of an anime feel, as you mentioned.
Right.
Which they did. And the second thing is, this is definitely really not meant for new viewers. Definitely not meant for kids. I think it's meant for us, the people who loved it in the beginning.
Yeah.
People who came to know of it later and watched it years later, returning back and watching this and having nostalgia.
Yeah.
And happy feelings.
Yeah.
And that's what it was meant to do. So if you haven't watched the movie and you plan on watching this series, you really should watch the movie first,
I think you need to.
Which is the last great thing Netflix did. The original movie is available to watch as well.
Yes.
So you can watch that movie first or revisit it and then watch this series.
Right.
So we made it through 3 episodes. We plan on finishing to number 8. If you want us to come back and give a review on the full review, let us know in the comments below. So if you've seen Scott Pilgrim Takes Off, let us know what you think in the comments below. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you think it was stupid? Did you watch the original movie? How do you
Did you think that was
compared?
stupid?
Did you get what you wanted?
Right.
Let us know what you think.
Right. Oh, any final thoughts? 'Cause I have one.
You go first.
Okay. Well, as we said, it takes a more serious tone and being more still. First episode. I think actually what made it work for the first episode with him trying to get a date with her, you know, in the movie, it was just you were laughing at his pathetic attempts, but you still rooted for him. And here, now that she's a little kinder, they actually made it more cute.
Yeah.
Somehow they made it more endearing and cute. Now she wasn't just bragging on him every 10 seconds. And when he goes missing and she's trying to find out what happened to him, they're like, why do you care about him? It's Scott. He's a loser. It's not worth your time. And she generally does like him enough to find out what happened to him. Just doesn't want to just forget he exists. So
She's like Merle in Trigon Stampede. She falls for him immediately. Like, oh my god.
Well,
do you want an interview?
He mentioned Sonic the Hedgehog, Jaleel White. I mean, everything's good.
Yeah.
And like I said, for some reason he's cute in here. Like, why'd you do that? I wasn't expecting that.
So my final thought is, after the first episode, I was like, woo! After the second episode, I was like,
Oh.
what is this crap? After the third episode, I was like, redemption!
Yes.
So I plan on finishing it because even if it's up and down, that means there are going to be some good episodes
Right.
within the 8. I hope it has an ending that I like.
Yeah.
From what we can tell, they don't plan at this time
For
on doing another season.
Yeah.
It's a one and done. But they say never say never.
Right. So it could come about after its popularity.
Right, and we can see. So, with that,
Sorry about that. If you haven't already, subscribe for updates, weekly videos, and favorite anime series, anime shows, and all things animation.
absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us today for this Paws on Netflix review.
I'm Mask Entertainment.
And I'm Mom Entertainment. We appreciate you so much.
Have a fantastic day.
Peace.